readers, me here, and welcome to my weekend books. Welcome back to my channel, Lee here, and I'm recording this on a Sunday, and this is the first weekend in a long time when I haven't gone to the bookstore and bought any new books. I did buy some online, they'll come in sometime next week, but 2 weekends ago I went. I don't think I've covered any of these. Some of them are my book of the month selections, some are one is a pre-order, but if I've covered these before, don't tell me. Anywho, so over the past week and some change, this is what I've gotten. The first, because it was D-Day, is Making Sense of Normandy by Carver McGriff, a young man's journey of war and faith. As you know, this year was the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Right now, on the nonfiction side, I'm reading The Longest Day, and I'm listening to an audio book called When the Seas Came Alive, and that's really interesting. It starts off in 1939, but I'm finally getting to the actual D-Day. Anywho, this one is going to be a great reference book for me. This young man was 19 years old when he left Indiana and his innocence behind to join the battle for freedom on one of the most important and bloodiest battlefields of World War I. So this is this young man's first-hand account of the harsh realities of World War II combat. Did I say World War I? Anywho, not only the struggle for physical survival, but for emotional and spiritual survival as well. So I really do look forward to reading that. After The Longest Day, I might need to take a minute before I read that. Next up, I went last weekend into the Barnes & Noble looking for, sometimes they have advanced copies of stuff before the actual pub date. Anywho, I did not find the book that I was hoping would be there, because it's not due out until, I think, this Tuesday, and I don't know if they'll have it. If they do have it, I will order it online, pick up in store. But I found another new horror book called Small Town Horror by Ronald Malfi. I've read one of his books before. I thought it was good. Not great. I'm starting to kind of reevaluate my relationship with horror. I don't get scared by horror anymore. A lot of people do. It just doesn't for me, and I'm sad about that, so I'll talk more about that later. But in Small Town Horror, Andrew Larimer has left his past behind. Rising up the ranks in a New York law firm with a heavily pregnant wife, he is settling into a new life far from Kingsport, the town in which he grew up. But when he receives a late-night phone call from an old friend, he has no choice but to return home. This might be my next book, I'm not sure. Anywho, coming home means returning to his late father's house, which has seen better days. It means lying to his wife, but it also means reuniting with his friends. Eric, now the town's deputy sheriff, Dale, a real estate mogul living in the shadow of a failed career, his childhood sweetheart Tig, who never could escape town, and poor Meech, whose ravings about a curse upon the group have driven him to drugs and alcohol. Together, the five friends will have to confront the memories and the horror of a night years ago that changed everything for them. Because Andrew and his friends have a secret, a thing they have kept to themselves for 20 years, something no one else should know. But the past is not dead, and Kingsport is a town with secrets of its own. One dark secret, one small town horror. Next up was kind of an impulse buy, and I'm not sure about it. I did read a review where the reviewer said he enjoyed it and he gave it high ratings, but he said he was embarrassed to be reading it, and so he took the cover off when he was reading it on his way to work. And that is All Fours by Miranda July. This is an irreverently sexy, tender, hilarious, and surprising novel about a woman upending her life. A semi-famous artist announces her plan to drive across country from Los Angeles to New York City. 30 minutes after leaving her husband and child at home, she spontaneously exits the freeway, checks into a nondescript motel, and immerses herself in an entirely different journey. Yada yada yada. All Fours tells the story of one woman's quest for a new kind of freedom. Part absurd entertainment, part tender reinvention of the sexual, romantic, and domestic life of a 45-year-old female artist. All Fours transcends expectation while excavating our beliefs about life lived as a woman. Anywho. Maybe. Soon. Because it's Pride Month, I did go in and pick up Cinema Love by Jasmine... Sorry, I can't read. Jiaming Tang. Or Tang, I'm not sure. For more than 30 years, Old Second and Bao Mai have cobbled together a meager existence in New York City's Chinatown. But unlike other couples, these two share an unusual past. In rural Fuzhou, before they immigrated, they frequented the Workers' Cinema, a theater where gay men cruised for love. While classic war films played, Old Second and his countrymen found intimacy in the screening rooms. In the box office, Bao Mai sold movie tickets to closeted men, guarding their secrets and finding her own happiness with the projectionist. But when Old Second's passion for his male lover is revealed, a series of haunting events unfold, propelling these characters toward an uncertain future in America. Spanning 3 timelines, post-socialist China, 1980s Chinatown, and contemporary New York, Cinema Love is an unforgettable epic about men and women who find themselves in forbidden relationships, the weight of secrets, and the way memory forever haunts the present. This does sound interesting and different from most of the books that I've been reading lately. The next 2 are my Book of the Month selections for June. I got a selection and an add-on. Every one of these I look at, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll read that next. I've had... Tangent here. I've kind of had like a disappointing June, which is surprising. But I've only read 6-7 books so far, and all of them were just okay. One was kind of a delight. That was Love at 350, but everything else has just been kind of average. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm in a kind of slump, but I'll persist. Anywho, for my Book of the Month, I chose Honey, a novel by Isabel Banta. And this is about a 90s pop singer. It's billed as an addictive coming-of-age story that follows the meteoric rise of pop star Amber Young as she navigates fame and self-discovery in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's 1997, and Amber Young has received a life-changing call. It's a chance thousands of girls would die for. The opportunity to join girl group Cloud9 in Los Angeles and escape her small town. She quickly finds herself in the orbits of fellow rising stars Gwen Morris, a driven singer and dancer, and Wes Kingston, a member of the biggest boy band in the world, ETA. As Amber embarks on a solo career, her rich interior life is frequently reduced, and she finds herself surrounded by people who claim to love her but wish only to exploit her. Driven by a desire for recognition and success, for love and sex, for agency and connection, Amber comes of age at a time when the kaleidoscope of public opinion can distort everything, and one mistake can shatter a career. This is a debut novel. I hope it's good. I've been watching some like 90s girl and boy band documentaries lately, and then after having read Britney's book last year, this I think will be good. I hope. I really could use some good. Next up, I do believe this one's going to be good. This was my add-on, and it is The Lion Women of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. I don't know when I'll get to this. However, it will be this year, almost, hopefully. In 1950s Tehran, 7-year-old Ellie lives in grand comfort until the untimely death of her father, forcing her and her mother to move to a tiny home downtown. Lonely and bearing the brunt of her mother's endless grievances, Ellie dreams of having a friend to alleviate her isolation. Luckily, on the first day of school, she meets Homa, a kind, passionate girl with a brave and irresistible spirit. Together, the two girls play games, learn to cook in the stone kitchen of Homa's warm home, wander through the colorful stalls of the Grand Bazaar, and share their ambitions for becoming lion women. But their happiness is disrupted when Ellie and her mother are afforded the opportunity to return to their previous bourgeois life. As Ellie enjoys her new popularity at the best girls' high school in Iran, her memories of Homa begin to fade. Years later, however, Homa's sudden reappearance in Ellie's privileged world alters the course of both their lives. Together, the two young women come of age and pursue their own goals for meaningful futures. But as the political turmoil in Iran builds to a breaking point, one earth-shattering betrayal will have enormous consequences. I read a book this month about betrayal, so I'm not sure I'm ready for another betrayal just yet, but this looks like a solid read, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, finally. I pre-ordered this book, but now I have some trepidation about reading it because I have not had a good track record this year on books with a video cassette on the cover. One was horrible, the other one was just okay. And again, I'm reevaluating my relationship with horror, what I want from it if it's not going to scare me. And this book has got a shit ton of hype on the internet, and every time I've gone to a book with high expectations this year, except for one time I think, my expectations have been dashed because it just did not meet them. But anyway, that is Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I got a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition that has a script and notes in the script and red edges. Beautiful cover. And I loved Tremblay's Cabin at the End of the World. And I liked some of his other books. So, in this one, it's June 1993, and a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie. It's not June. In June 1993, they spent 4 weeks making Horror Movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part? Only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public, but Horror Movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big-budget reboot. The man who played the thin kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous cross lines on set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, egomaniacal directors, and surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned. But at what cost? We'll find out. It's In Memoriam, Peter Straub. So, again, I want to read this. I wanted to read it this past week, but I was in the middle of some other books, and this is, again, it got so much hype online that I'm hesitant to be let down again. Anywho, if you've read that, or if you have any recommendations for something to read that's fresh and scary, please let me know. That is all for me. I am off this week, so I only have one video that I'm recording this weekend. I'm doing a huge purge of crap in my house, so hopefully during that purge I will be able to find some more books to to talk to you about that I don't have to buy. Anywho, that's all for me. Happy Father's Day, a day late. And today is my mother's birthday. I don't remember how old she would be if she were still alive, but I'm thinking of her today, and my dad. That's it for me. Happy reading!